Part 41. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Wo Meng. Chapter 401. After saying that, Wan Qing blinked, cute and charming. I'm willing, I'm very willing. Su Liang nodded quickly, seeing that although his master looked gentle and cute, he had murderous intent inside. If he shook his head, he would probably die on the spot. That's pretty much it? Wan Qing nodded with satisfaction and continued to lie on Su Liang. Her petite feet swayed and knocked on Su Liang's legs without feeling bored. It seems that after what happened yesterday, Wan Qing has relaxed a lot when facing Su Liang now. On the contrary, she is very similar to the young apprentice who used to stick to the master's side. But Wan Qing would only show this delicate and tender gesture in front of Su Liang. Okay, as long as master can be happy. Su Liang put his arms around Wan Qing and said with a smile, I would like to thank master for yesterday. If it weren't for master. But before he finished speaking, Wan Qing blocked Su Liang's mouth and rolled his cute eyes. Why are you saying thank you to me? My dear disciple, please remember, being a teacher is not. Halfway through the words, Su Liang blocked Wan Qing's mouth and let go after a long time. Seeing Wan Qing's confused eyes and blushing face, Su Liang smiled and said, I know what master is thinking. Wan Qing nodded obediently, suddenly became lively again, hugged Su Liang tightly, rubbed her little face against Su Liang's body, and kissed her apprentice in various ways. Hey, good disciple, he. While smiling, he hugged Su Liang tightly, but he just didn't want to let go, he just couldn't put it down. Master, it's already this time, should we get up? Su Liang said helplessly, his master is really too tempting. If this continues, Su Liang feels that he may be a little unable to control himself and relieve the memory of yesterday. By then, I'm afraid it will be until night. Is it late now? Wan Qing looked at the sky outside and saw that it was already bright. She had probably finished breakfast, so she had no choice but to nod regretfully. Okay, get up and get up. Anyway, the master is now his, so there is no need to rush for this moment, there will be plenty of time in the future. For example, you can continue tonight. I don't mind anyway, and that girl Kinja shouldn't dare to mind either, right? Yeah, it's time to get up. Su Liang nodded, but looked at his master helplessly. The master looked obedient and well behaved, but there was no movement at all in his body. What should I do? Now you are still being suppressed by your master, okay. The two of them tossed around in the room for a long time, and finally got up when it was almost 3 o'clock in the morning. Opening the door, Su Liang looked at the sunshine in the sky and let out a sigh of relief. This morning has been great, isn't it? His master just suppressed him and made no further moves. Su Liang almost couldn't bear it a few times, but he still endured it. But there's nothing I can do about it. Who gave me a charming, alluring and clingy master? What can I do? At this moment, Tan Kinja, who had been waiting outside the door, finally breathed a sigh of relief when she saw Su Liang walking out of the room, and then came to greet him. But the next moment, she saw Wan Qing walking out of the room, hugging Su Liang's arm very naturally, and resting her little head on Su Liang's shoulder. Hey, good disciple, let's go and eat. Auntie, you. Tan Kinja pointed at her aunt, trembling slightly. Huh? Kinja? Have you been waiting here? Wan Qing was stunned for a moment, and then she showed a proud and provocative smile. Kinja, aunt, I won't pretend anymore, I'm showing my cards, I have indeed eaten your man, what can you do to me? Me? Tan Kinja stammered, her mind went blank, and she could only watch miserably as her man was taken away by her aunt. What's this? Just eat it? In order to save a Liang, this is not an unacceptable thing, but what are you showing off in front of me? My aunt is so shameless, what can I do? Totally useless. Liang, you've been practicing for a long time, are you tired? Come here, I'll give you a leg kick. My good disciple, you have been practicing so hard. Are you thirsty? Come on, master will give you something nice to drink. In the small courtyard, Suliang had just finished practicing and was about to rest for a while, when Tan Qinja and Wan Qing surrounded him. One squatted directly next to Suliang and began to beat Suliang's legs with a smile on his face. The other started to wear wider belts and was about to make drinks on the spot. Master, please stop quickly, okay? I really can't tolerate this. Suliang quickly stopped his master, feeling a little headache. At this time, Tan Qinja suddenly raised her head and said, Auntie really has no common sense. If she doesn't have a child with a Liang, she only has an empty mind. Oh, you do have a big heart, but you are just beating your legs. Do you think a Liang needs this? Wan Qing showed no mercy and fought back directly. Then, both of them had serious faces, each doing their own thing, and no one wanted to talk to the other. Looking at this scene, Suliang felt even more headache. Ever since Suliang and Wan Qing reconciled their yin and yang, and Wan Qing provoked Tan Qinja, things have become like this. The two people faced each other tit for tat, neither giving in to the other, and started a huge battle around Suliang. In short, he was treating Suliang tenderly in different ways, engaging in all kinds of verbal quarrels, not giving in to anyone, and the other party who kept trying to quarrel couldn't say anything, and couldn't stop until he couldn't eat. This kind of invisible murderous intention was so dangerous inside that Suliang was frightened to see it. I was afraid that one day the two of them would come to blows and start fighting directly. At that time, Suliang felt that his sister might be in trouble. After practicing, Suliang looked at the sky. It was only afternoon and it was still early. He felt that he could still take a rest. How about taking a nap? All kinds of things have happened in the past 2 days, and I feel that I am really running out of energy. After thinking about this, Suliang said hello to his sister and master. Sister, master, you can do what you want, I'm going to take a rest. However, as soon as he finished speaking, there was no one in front of him. He quickly ran into the room, and sure enough, Suliang saw his sister and master in the room. My dear disciple, please rest quickly. The bed is already made. Wan Qing pulled Suliang to the bedside and patted the soft bed. Humph, what's the point of making the bed? Tan Qinja snorted softly, Liang, sister will sleep with you. Hearing this, before Suliang said anything, Wan Qing raised her eyebrows and said, Oh, do you think you are treating yourself as a bed-warming maid? In this case, why don't you come to my place to warm the bed? I don't want it. I have to warm the bed for Liang. I don't know what a shameless ant is. Tan Qinja said with a smile, then got into the bed and hugged Suliang. Watching this, Wan Qing's brows twitched, and she almost couldn't help but take action. After being served by the two men for a day, Suliang felt very tired. Seeing his sister and master caring so deeply for him, Suliang felt very happy, but the feeling of this Shura field was really not that good. All the way to Concubine Tan's yard, Suliang sat in front of Concubine Tan, planning to ask his mother-in-law directly for help. Madam, Qinja, and Master, I really have no choice. Suliang said weakly that he did not hide anything about his master from his mother-in-law. This cannot be hidden. The competition between Tan Qinja and Wan Qing has become too big in the past 2 days. Moreover, Suliang endured the catastrophe that day, and Wan Qing carried him into the room. Many people saw it. After all, such a big thing happened on the Tan family's territory. As the head of the Tan family, how could Concubine Tan not pay attention to it? Looking at Suliang, who was quite tired, Concubine Tan just smiled and patted Suliang's hand with a soft and gentle look. I have always wanted a son. What? What does my own mother-in-law mean? Suliang blinked. For a moment, he felt a little confused as to what concubine Tan was talking about. From then on, the person who took care of Suliang became concubine Tan. On the dinner table, seeing Tan Kinja and Wan Qing sitting next to her, concubine Tan chased them away and said to Wan Qing, "Go, go, sit over there, I want nephew Susian to be next to me." Elder sister. Wan Qing glanced at her sister in confusion. Seeing that her sister looked serious, she had no choice but to change places and go to concubine Tan. Then, the delicacies were served. Tan Kinja was just about to pick up the vegetables when she saw that concubine Tan was one step ahead and took away the items and put them in Suliang's bowl. "Nephew Su, eat more. I've heard Kinja say you like these," she said. "So I specifically asked the kitchen to make it." "Thank you, ma'am." Suliang blinked, feeling that he could not refuse madam's kindness, so he had no choice but to nod and accept it obediently. Looking at this scene, Tan Kinja and Wan Qing looked at each other and felt something bad in their hearts. And what happened next confirmed both of their thoughts. Back in her small courtyard, Tan Kinja was so happy that she finally thought of a way to get her aunt away. This time, she must have Liang all to herself. However, before she entered the house, she saw that her mother was actually in the room. I saw. Volume 1 Chapter 382 Mother-in-law will always be a god. Concubine Tan pulled Suliang to sit next to her, looked at Suliang's clothes, and said with a gentle smile, "It's cold now, but you are still wearing such thin clothes? This is not good. Wait until I get back and let my servants give you some clothes. Send me some clothes. Don't think that since we practice cultivation, we are no longer afraid of cold and heat, even if we are always cold." Looking at it like this, it's as if he is treating his own son. Tan Kinja walked into the room and faced her mother. Seeing her mother treat her man like her own son, she thought of herself. "What happened when you were a child? Did my mother never take care of herself at all? Why is this, mother? I am your daughter. I'm so sour." In concubine Tan's room, concubine Tan held a very good-looking sword in her hand. She handed it to Suliang with a smile. "Come on, nephew Susian, I think you use a sword, so I found this for you. A sword, no matter how much, can enhance your strength a little bit." Wan Qing on the side looked at the sword and was a little surprised. "This sword is simply better than all the weapons in the Tan family, right? My sister actually gave master such a treasure. This is really too pampering." "Elder sister," Wan Qing said, very unhappy. "My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator." Author, Fangzone Wo Meng. Chapter 402. You dote on him too much. I know you like him, but you can't always dominate him, right? So what? Concubine Tan glanced sideways at Wan Qing and then said, "Can you take care of others?" Puff. After hearing this, Wan Qing almost spat out a mouthful of blood. "Why can't I know it? Okay, sister, you are right." Seeing that concubine Tan, the mother-in-law, took Suliang by her side all day long and took care of her like her own son, Tan Kinja and Wan Qing's mentality completely collapsed and they were completely helpless. Both boyfriends are occupied by their mother, sister, what can they do? Both Tan Kinja and Wan Qing feel that they can't afford to offend concubine Tan. Obviously, they were still fighting fiercely for their men before, but now, it is difficult to even see their boyfriend, and sometimes their boyfriend may not even be released at night. What are we going to do? This time, the two women were completely muggles, and there was nothing they could do. But in this case, Tan Kinja and Wan Qing rarely fought and argued, but sat together calmly. There really was no one worth fighting over between the two of them, so what else could they fight over and fight about? Void fight? Night. Tan Kinja and Wan Qing were sitting face to face, and suddenly they all sighed and looked at each other speechlessly. If I had known today, why bother in the beginning? In fact, now that I think about it, I didn't have to fight with my aunt, niece, at that time, right? Although there was only one husband, wouldn't it be nice to accompany her together? It would be better than now, not being able to see each other at all. Picking up the wine glass, Tan Kinja said softly, "Come on, aunt, let me toast you. Now that I think about it, it was my niece who was wrong before and she shouldn't have been at odds with my aunt. Although there is only one Aoyang, we can still negotiate." After touching it with her niece, Wan Qing drank it all in one gulp and sighed, "Speaking of this, the aunt, was also at fault. I shouldn't have been so tough on you at the time. In fact, if you think about it carefully, he must have been a good disciple. Don't want to see us like this." But after they finished speaking, both of them fell silent. Now that I have woken up, what is the use of saying such things? They are all gone. They have been occupied by their mother, sister, and will not return. No matter how they wake up now, it will be of no use. I can only get drunk in the room at night, and there is no way I can do it. Soon, the two of them had been drinking for 3 rounds, their pretty faces were flushed, and they were both a little tipsy. Boom! Wan Qing threw the cup hard on the table and said with a little anger, "Sister, even if she is mother-in-law, she can't rob her daughter of her sister's man. This stupid sister treats her son-in-law as a son, but instead let her daughter neither I nor my sister can see my man. What the hell is going on? My aunt is right, my mother is too harsh." Tan Kinja nodded in agreement, also feeling that the mother she had just reconciled with was a little too much. If I had known this, I wouldn't have reconciled at that time, right? Fight back, we must fight back. Wan Qing stood up, walked to Tan Kinja, and patted Tan Kinja on the shoulder. "Kinja, my idiot sister is the head of the Tan family after all. We alone can't play with her at all. For this plan, in order to get my good disciple back, the two of us must join forces and fight back. Auntie is right." Tan Kinja raised her wine glass high, "We must fight back. It is not allowed to steal other people's men, not even mothers." So, on this night, Tan Kinja and Wan Qing toasted to join forces and were forced to join forces. Concubine Du Tan launched a clarion call for counterattack. But unknown to the two of them, they have fallen into a trap. In Concubine Tan's room, Suliang was left to stay in this courtyard again tonight. Certainly. As the head of the family, the courtyard where Concubine Tan lives is quite large and there are many rooms, so Suliang will naturally not have no place to live. "Madam, you do this." Suliang recalled what happened in the past 2 days and considered his words. "I don't have any objections, but Kinja and Master, I'm afraid they will be resentful of you, right? Especially for his sister." Suliang and his master worked together to find a way to reconcile their mother and daughter. It would be too uncomfortable if the relationship collapsed because of this matter again. Just to make them feel uncomfortable. Concubine Tan had a good time, with a gentle smile on her face. She didn't seem to be worried at all. "Nephew Susian, you know, I just provoked them on purpose." "Why is this?" Suliang felt a little confused and couldn't figure out what Concubine Tan's intention was. "The reason is, of course, for the two of them to live in harmony." Concubine Tan smiled and drank her tea. "Crisis can only be contained when it comes from the outside. Only if I intervene can the two of them be under pressure and live in harmony. They may even join forces to deal with me." His. Suliang was simply shocked. Did he really not expect that his mother-in-law was so powerful? "My own mother-in-law solved the problem that was a huge headache for me so easily. This time, my mother-in-law is really planning something." Suliang couldn't help but give a thumbs up, and said in admiration, "Madam's scheme is unparalleled, and this junior is willing to be defeated." Hearing this, Concubine Tan smiled and said, just wait, the two of them will be united soon. Sure enough, early the next morning, Tan Kinja and Wan Qing came to the door together. Volume 1 Chapter 383, The Return of the Fairy, Distorting Time and Space, What Others Cannot Say. The duo of Tan Kinja and Wan Qing begin their attack and must snatch their man back from their mother. Sister. Sister, I have a question to ask my sister. I wonder if she has time. Concubine Tan smiled softly, of course you can. Wan Qing thought for a moment, sister, have you ever heard of the organization Yinghuo? To be honest, Wan Qing just asked this question casually. Wan Qing has read a lot of ancient books of the Tan family. Is there anything about this? Wan Qing doesn't know. All she had to do was attract concubine Tan's attention. Yinghuo. Tan Fei blinked and fell into thought. See this. Wan Qing quickly winked at Tan Kinja. Take your man away quickly, I'll hold off your idiot sister. Tan Kinja decisively understood what her aunt meant, nodded, directly took her man's hand, and ran out without saying a word, for fear that if she wasted time, her mother would keep her. Then, Wan Qing stayed at concubine Tan's place all morning. It was not until noon that Tan Kinja happily brought Suliang back for dinner. After lunch, before concubine Tan could speak to Suliang, Tan Kinja hugged concubine Tan's arm and said, Mom, my daughter has nothing to do in the afternoon, so why not come and stay with her mother? Hearing this, concubine Tan smiled happily and said, okay. Then, while Tan Kinja was holding concubine Tan and talking quietly between mother and daughter, Wan Qing decisively abducted Suliang. But this time, until Tan Kinja left at night, Suliang was not sent back. However, concubine Tan miraculously did not say anything. She knew in her heart that her plan would work. From then on, Tan Kinja and Wan Qing were extremely harmonious, and there was no longer any barrier between them and concubine Tan. Only Suliang not only solved the family conflict, but also made Tan Kinja and Wan Qing stick to him even more. This wave is really a win. Suliang sat in front of the table, tapping his fingers on the table, looking thoughtful. By now, things in the Tan family have probably been settled, and he has done it when he should establish his authority. The relationship between his sister and his mother has also eased, and even he has become a master and a rebel disciple. It seems like it's time for me to do the next thing. However, Suliang doesn't have a clue about what to do next. When Suliang was taken away by the Queen of the Abyss and put back, the Queen of the Abyss actually made a request to Suliang. The Queen of the Abyss wants Suliang to go to the Fuxi Abyss. According to the Queen of the Abyss, there are tokens in the Fuxi Abyss that are important to both Suliang and the Queen of the Abyss. But where is the Fuxi Abyss, what is the token, and how could Suliang have a token that is important to both of them when he has only seen two sides of the Queen of the Abyss? The Queen of the Abyss did not inform Suliang of all these questions. For a moment, Suliang felt that there were many mysteries ahead, as if layers of fog were surrounding him. Every time he breaks through a layer of fog and feels that he is close to the truth, more fog will appear and wrap him up, leaving him with nowhere to trace and nowhere to start. This feeling is very subtle. Suliang remembered that when he saw the Queen of the Abyss before, the system reminded her that the Queen of the Abyss could be bound and simulated. That is to say, have you ever really come into contact with the Queen of the Abyss? After simulating all the way until now, Suliang vaguely knew that Cao's experience in the Thief Simulator was real. And this was the basis for his bold guess. After thinking for a long time, he still had no clue. Suliang rubbed his brows and had no choice but to put the matter down for now. That's all, let's look for clues about the Fuxi Abyss first. Suliang himself was a little curious about what the so-called tokens in the Fuxi Abyss were. Besides, after all, I promised the Queen of the Abyss, and I must do what I promised. Inside the Tan family library pavilion, Suliang found a table and chairs. In front of him were stacks of Tan family's thousand-year-old classics, and he was still flipping through them. He is looking for traces of the Fuxi abyss. For a thousand-year-old family like the Tan family, the number of thousand-year-old classics in the library is as vast as smoke, and the number is ridiculous. Records of major events that have happened in the past 1,000 years, as well as some weird and secret places, should have been preserved. In other words, if you want to find the Fuxi abyss, the library of a 1,000-year-old family should be the most suitable place. Then, in the huge library, Suliang was the only one left, searching and browsing, almost forgetting the time. But just when Suliang was getting better, Tan Kinja found this place. Liang, something happened. Tan Kinja held Suliang's hand, her face serious and a little anxious. Over in Shengjing, Kaoj and the others sent a message saying that Benjao suddenly disappeared. They searched for a long time and even launched taxis. The amount of land is large, but there is no trace of Benjao. Disappeared. Suliang raised his eyebrows, feeling quite surprised, and asked quickly, "What is going on?" You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Wo Meng. Chapter 403. Tan Kinja sighed. According to Chao Ji, they got together to chat the night before, but early the next morning, there was no trace of Benjao in the room. The whole night, there was no sound from Benjao's room. In other words, no matter who took Benjao away, at least the other party did not give Benjao a chance to do anything. Hearing this, Suliang frowned and felt anxious in his heart. He knew his girlfriend's cultivation strength very well. Even if an invincible being like his master took action, his girlfriend would never be taken away without a chance to resist. Therefore, the person who took Benjao away was absolutely terrifyingly powerful. After taking a look at the book in his hand, Suliang put it aside and stood up. "Sister, don't worry, I will return to Shengjing and find a way to find Benjao." Tan Kinja nodded. "You are better at this aspect. If I follow you, you may become a drag. How about I stay here to help you investigate the clues about the Fuxi abyss?" "Good." Suliang nodded. He also knew that now was not the time to waste time, so he had to say goodbye to his sister and master for the time being, and embarked on the road to find his girlfriend. Shengjingzhong. Suliang's figure suddenly appeared in Qin Benjao's room quietly, without disturbing anyone. Now that time was running out, Suliang had no time to say hello to the girls at home. He might as well come back quietly, investigate clearly, and then bring his girlfriend back to meet them. His eyes swept around the room. All the furnishings in the room looked natural and orderly. It was obvious that no battle had broken out. In other words, was his girlfriend really taken away by the other party quietly? But, since it appears, it should always leave some traces since ordinary eyes can't see it, then use the Emperor's double eyes. In an instant, Emperor Luo's double pupils were activated, and some faint traces appeared in front of Suliang. The traces extended from the room to the void in mid-air, gradually faded, and finally disappeared. Suliang thought for a while, followed the trace, and chased after him. After a while, he came to a wilderness. However, looking down from the sky, what Suliang saw at a glance was nothing. There was no trace of any living thing at all. What happened? Did I look in the wrong place, or is there something to cover it up? After searching carefully for a moment again, Suliang finally found something wrong. The space there seemed to be distorted. Although it was seamlessly connected to other places, it still left some flaws. Sure enough, the truth was covered up. In this case, break. Suliang shouted softly, and the Emperor Luo's heavy eyes were activated, breaking through the illusion and looking for traces of the lady. At the same time, the Lord of Yinghuo, who was teaching Qin Binjiao, suddenly noticed something. He glanced in one direction for no apparent reason, and then directly urged, "Okay, you have to remember what I taught you. This is your future path. With that said, it's time for you to leave. Say it." The Lord of Yinghuo waved his hand, and Qin Binjiao's figure immediately disappeared. As for Sul Yang, the illusion was broken and the truth emerged. Sure enough, Sul Yang saw his girlfriend standing there with a confused look on her face. "Binjiao." Sul Yang hurriedly landed to greet her, pulling his girlfriend with him and looking around. "Are you okay? You're not hurt, are you?" "No." Qin Binjiao giggled, hugged her boyfriend, and looked as cute as a normal person. "He's very nice." "Sulang, why did you come here? You have the nerve to ask why I came here." Sul Yang rolled his eyes angrily and decisively taught him a lesson. "Pa. Huh, you've been missing for so long and you still say you're fine. Do you know that my sister, Chao Ji, and the others are almost dying of anxiety? People have realized their mistake." Qin Binjiao looked at her boyfriend sadly and admitted her mistake. "I shouldn't just disappear. I should tell Sulang. However, I'm just trying to break through myself and find a new path. I won't do anything dangerous. Even if you break through yourself, you won't disappear suddenly." Sul Yang helplessly knocked his girlfriend on the head. "Do you know how worried we are about you if you do this? Think about it for yourself. What would you do if one day I suddenly disappeared?" After hearing this, Qin Binjiao imagined the scene and trembled unconsciously. It seems really scary. Qin Binjiao felt that if her boyfriend suddenly disappeared one day, she might go crazy, right? Okay, Sulang, I know I was wrong. You must not disappear suddenly." Qin Binjiao quickly hugged Sul Yang and moved back and forth, coquettishly. "I wouldn't do such a thing." Sul Yang hugged his girlfriend, but he wasn't too angry anymore. "In any case, as long as my girlfriend is safe." Qin Binjiao couldn't accept Sul Yang's sudden disappearance, and Sul Yang simply couldn't accept the loss of his girlfriend. No matter which one, you can't lose it. The two hugged each other and talked for a while. Sul Yang asked curiously, "Didn't you say you came to break through yourself? How was your breakthrough?" Hearing this, Qin Binjiao smiled proudly. "Hey, I've been out for so long, so I've definitely gained something. Sulang, please wait, I will show you what I have achieved during this time," said. Qin Binjiao suddenly waved her hand gently, and immediately, a mysterious aura flowed out of her hand and blended into the surroundings. Immediately afterwards, the surrounding environment seemed to be changing and distorting at this moment. Faintly, Sul Yang seemed to see the scene of people coming and going in the town in the surrounding wilderness. "How is this going? Phantom? No, that's not right. Not to mention that this illusion is not real at all. I'm afraid there is no way to confuse anyone. The changes in the surroundings and the surge of energy are simply not something that an illusion can possess." Sul Yang has seen too many illusions all the way to the present, from his master, to Queen Mother Qin Wanyu, to all kinds of things. Even though he can't use it, he can still see through the essence at a glance. Therefore, Sul Yang was very sure that what appeared in front of him was not an illusion. Instead, it's more like warping time and space. Sul Yang has not experienced this kind of power about time and space. It is precisely because the time and space in front of you are all distorted that the surrounding scenery will distort and change, and will overlap with other scenery. Distort time and space? Is this the new ability my girlfriend has acquired? For a moment, Sul Yang felt a little surprised. This ability was really powerful. "Hey, Sulang, how are you?" "I'm great, right?" Qin Binjiao on the side proudly put her hands on her hips and begged for praise. "Yeah, that's great." Sul Yang praised him twice, and then asked curiously, "How did you learn this ability?" "Hey, Sulang, don't worry about it. Anyway, there are ways to learn." Qin Benjao looked mysterious. She didn't want to tell her boyfriend at all, but she couldn't lie at all. In an instant, Suliang realized that his girlfriend was hiding something. This girl actually dares to hide herself? If it's an ordinary little thing, forget it, but this is a major matter related to cultivation. If my girlfriend wants to hide it, it's a bit too much, right? Suliang felt that it was necessary to interrogate the family law. Then, Suliang stretched out his hand to fish it out and pressed his girlfriend on his lap. Suliang struck without mercy, "Pa. Say or not." Suliang snorted softly, "You girl, how dare you play mysterious with me?" Sulang. Qin Benjao's face turned red and she kept struggling, people can't say anything. Am I closer to you or is someone else close to you?" Suliang K didn't care about that and continued to hit hard, "Pa. She asked you not to say it, so you stopped." The beating made Qin Benjao burst into tears and look miserable. She stared at her cute big eyes and said, "Sulang, I really can't tell you. I can't tell you that it was the silver-haired elder sister who taught me this." "Didn't you tell everything?" Volume 1 # Chapter 384, Tight leather clothes, a little exciting. There are not many silver-haired people in this world. This characteristic can be said to be quite clear. The silver-haired elder sister is the Lord of Yinghuo. Wait, something's wrong. Lord of Yinghuo. Suliang frowned, feeling more and more that something was wrong. Last time, he felt that the Lord of Yinghuo wanted to trigger a crisis in advance, but this time, the Lord of Yinghuo helped his girlfriend practice? What is her purpose? Why do you want to help yourself like this? Logically speaking, he and the Lord of Yinghuo should be considered enemies, right? I can't figure it out, I really can't figure it out. Shaking his head and putting aside these doubts, Suliang picked up his girlfriend and glared at her, "Let's go back with me and apologize to Kaoj and the others." "Humph, you really caused a lot of trouble this time. Do you know how worried Kaoj and the others are? My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator." Author, Fangzone Womeng. Chapter 404. Shengjing, in the mansion. Suliang stood aside with his hands behind his back. Qin Benjao stood in front of the girls with her head lowered and a guilty look on her face. She obediently began to apologize, "Sisters and sisters, I'm sorry. It's Benjao's fault. It was Benjao who was ignorant and disappeared without permission. I didn't tell you, so I made you worried and frightened." As she spoke, Qin Benjao's eyes were reddish and tearful, looking too pitiful. "Sulang has taught me a lesson. I already know my mistakes deeply. I hope you can forgive me for my mistakes." I. Seeing that Qin Benjao was about to cry, the girls couldn't help it because of her pitiful appearance, and immediately held Qin Benjao in their arms to comfort her. Immediately, he couldn't help asking Suliang, "Lang Jun, Benjao just wants to break through herself. Why are you bullying her?" Yang Kaoj glared at Suliang. "Even so, I also feel that my husband has gone too far." Qin Wanyu and Yang Kaoj rarely united their front and faced the outside world in unison. Even Mu Qingqian and Tao Yaoyao nodded. Senior brother Su, brother Suliang, has indeed gone too far. For a time, Suliang became the target of public criticism. Seeing this, Suliang felt aggrieved. Hey, I'm obviously here to help, why are you all starting to reprimand me?" Even Qin Benjao looked docile and helpful. "Sisters, don't blame Sulang. All this is my fault." "It's not Sulang's fault. Sulang has already taught me a lesson." "That's enough." I was impressed. As a result, these words seemed to fan the flames. Hey, Mr. Lang has gone too far. He dares to teach Benjeo a lesson. This time, the girls were even more unhappy. Seeing the scene and Suliang's confused look, Qin Benjeo showed a sinister smile. This is the nature of a sinister fairy. The more helpers she has, the easier it will be to control her boyfriend. Being disliked by the other girls, Suliang couldn't say anything to refute. In the end, he could only return to his room in a depressed mood. It's not that he was angry. Suliang planned to figure out what was going on. I'm starting to blame myself for doing this, because I obviously brought Benjeo back to apologize. Seeing Suliang leaving, Yang Kaoj and others did not pursue him. They knew their husband very well, and they would definitely not be angry with themselves because of this matter. Even if you are really angry, just calm yourself down and it will be fine. It's no big deal. At worst, I just don't get out of bed for 2 days. Thinking about that scene, why do you still feel so excited and eager to try it? In the evening, Suliang continued to sit in the room and meditate. The Queen of the Abyss and the Lord of Yinghuo, these two people brought Suliang too many mysteries and doubts, but Suliang had no clue. I have to say, this feeling is quite uncomfortable. And just then, squeak. The door to the room was opened. Soviet Union looked up and saw his girlfriend walking in wrapped tightly. What are you doing here? Suliang rolled his eyes and said angrily, I'm just a bad guy who punishes you randomly, how can I see you again? Suliang was not stupid. After thinking about what happened during the day, he understood that he was being blamed all because of his scheming girlfriend. It's not like I'm angry, but why is my girlfriend so evil? Who taught it? What a sin. Hey, is Suliang still angry? With a flattering smile on her face, Qin Benjeo walked up to Suliang and sat face to face with Suliang. You know you are wrong, Suliang, please don't be angry, okay? Why are you angry? How could I be angry? Suliang said with a smile, not even the slightest bit angry. Really, not angry at all. Humph, Suliang is so stingy. Qin Benjeo was sulking, but suddenly she straightened up, untied the belt around her waist with her jade hands, and gently untied her blouse. Immediately afterwards, the inner world was revealed. Hiss. Suliang took a breath and looked at his girlfriend, full of shock. I saw. At this moment, Qin Benjeo was wearing a tight-fitting leather jacket that outlined her figure. Whether it was the peak of her growth, the erect and delicate figure behind her, or the harmony of yin and yang, all the outlines were revealed, making her extremely attractive. The silver-white hair is matched with the pure black of the tight leather jacket, and paired with Qin Benjeo's pure and fairy-like appearance. The combination of purity and charm, cleanliness and seductiveness made her whole person full of contradictory charms. It was truly eye-catching, and once Suliang took one look at it, he could no longer look away. What are you? Suliang asked blankly, gently climbing up the peak with his hands. Well, the needle won't poke. Of course I'm here to apologize to Mr. Lang. Qin Benjeo came close to Suliang's ear and said softly, as you know, I made your husband angry before, so I must apologize properly. But, Suliang murmured, how did you invent these handcuffs? Seeing that his girlfriend still had a pair of handcuffs hanging around her waist, which would definitely be of great use in a while, Suliang was shocked. In this world, there is no such thing as handcuffs. Generally speaking, shackles are used. There is a big difference between these two things. Is my girlfriend so imaginative? But, I have to say, it's very exciting and I love it. Suliang felt that his girlfriend's apology was very sincere. But at this moment, a visitor unexpectedly arrived, interrupting the good atmosphere between the two. Dong dong dong. There was a knock on the door, and Tao Yao Yao's voice sounded outside, Brother Suliang, are you in there? The moment she heard the voice, Qin Benjeo hid decisively. Ahem, I'm here, come in. Su Yang quickly tidied his clothes and said calmly. Squeak. Tao Yao Yao opened the door and walked in quietly. Seeing that there was no one else in Su Yang's room, she breathed a sigh of relief. She came to care about Su Yang secretly, how could she let others find out? Climbing directly onto Su Yang, Tao Yao Yao snuggled in and said with a smile, Brother Su Yang, I'm sorry about what happened during the day. It's not that Yao Yao doesn't believe you. No need to explain, I won't be angry, don't worry. Su Yang patted Tao Yao Yao's head and said with a smile. Hearing this, Tao Yao Yao breathed a sigh of relief, but then she said, Brother Su Yang, look at them, they all don't believe you. Well, it's a good thing you're so nice to them. But I'm different. I trust Brother Su Yang very much. Oh, is it so? Su Yang looked at Tao Yao Yao with a slight smile, but she didn't have any other ideas. Certainly. Tao Yao Yao nodded affirmatively, just like this time, since Brother Su Yang taught the eldest sister a lesson, there must be something wrong with the eldest sister. However, they don't believe Brother Su Yang at all. They only turn to the eldest sister. Huh, Yao Yao is very angry when they see him. While talking, Tao Yao Yao looked at Su Yang's expression. She came here secretly this time just to gain favor. No one else believes in Brother Su Yang, but I believe it myself. This time, Brother Su Yang's favorability will definitely soar, right? But she never expected that the eldest sister who she said must have a problem was actually hiding under the quilt on the bed next to her. Moreover, he listened to everything she said. Okay, Tao Yao Yao, you are saying bad things about me to Mr. Lang behind my back. I remember you. Qin Benjao gritted her teeth and sharpened her knife. But at this moment, Tao Yao Yao was in danger, but she didn't know it. She naively thought that her plan was perfect and she would definitely be able to seduce Brother Su Yang. The next day, early in the morning. As soon as Tao Yao Yao got up and walked out of the room, Qin Benjao came to visit with a smile. Sister-in-law. Tao Yao Yao looked at Qin Benjao in confusion. Although Qin Benjao had a pretty face and a smile, she always felt that something was wrong. Come on, Yao Yao, I have something important to talk to you alone. Qin Benjao took Tao Yao Yao's hand and lured her into the room. Come, let's go inside and talk. After Qin Benjao closed the door, Tao Yao Yao asked curiously, Sister, why are you so mysterious? It's nothing. Qin Benjao's smile became gentler. Last night, someone seemed to say in front of Mr. Lang that I had a problem. Yao Yao, do you know about this? Hearing this, Tao Yao Yao stiffened and almost knelt down in front of Qin Benjao. What's going on? I obviously only told Brother Su Yang, how come the eldest sister knew about it? Could it be that it was Brother Su Yang who told the eldest sister? Brother Su Yang harmed me. Su Lang naturally won't say anything to others casually. Qin Benjao slowly approached Tao Yao Yao, but I just made Su Lang angry during the day yesterday. Isn't it normal to go to apologize at night and hear something by the way? It turns out that it's my own fault. Tao Yao Yao's heart was filled with darkness. It was over, it was all over. Next. In the room, scenes of miserable scenes that could not bear to be looked at occurred. Tao Yao Yao's screams almost alarmed the entire Shengjing. Volume 1 Chapter 385 The witch shows off, and the goddess is so stimulated that she goes crazy. Throughout the whole day, no one in the entire mansion saw Tao Yao Yao again. But Su Yang could guess what was going on with Tao Yao Yao. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Wo Meng. Chapter 405. What else could she do? With her girlfriend's shady character, if she knew that this girl Dao Ao Yao dared to speak ill of her behind her back, how could she be spared? Is the name Smiling Tyrant a joke on you? Then, when everyone, even Mu Qingqian, looked confused and couldn't find Tao Yao Yao, Suliang went directly to Tao Yao's room. Really? At a glance, he saw Tao Yao lying on the bed, looking like she was about to die, not daring to move. Yao Yao. Suliang called Tao Yao's name softly. Hearing the sound, Tao Yao immediately became excited, straightened up quickly, and looked in the direction of the door of the room. Then, the next moment, he started screaming again. Ah! Tao Yao hurriedly lowered her body. Now, every time she moved, she felt unbearable pain in her body and almost cried. God knows what the elder sister did to me. You haven't left any place up, down, front and back, okay. Lowering her head slightly, Tao Yao could clearly see that her own peak was obviously more majestic, and could already compare with senior sister Qin's. Has she grown up? How is that possible? He was obviously beaten on the head by the eldest sister. And behind her, even if she is lying on the bed now, she can see the small and straight place behind her, with a high bulge. Needless to say, I was also beaten on the head by my eldest sister. Tao Yao felt so hurt that she couldn't even get out of bed. Brother Suliang, you finally came to see me. Tao Yao found the most comfortable position to lie down, then turned to look at Suliang, pouting, with red and teary eyes, looking pitiful. I thought that brother Suliang had forgotten me. Already? How could be? Suliang quickly sat next to Tao Yao and touched her head, speaking of which, it's my fault too. If I had known what you were going to say, I should have stopped you. Suliang also knew that Tao Yao didn't have any bad intentions at all. She was brought to the state by her girlfriend because she was seeking her own death. No, it's not brother Suliang's fault, it's Yao's own fault. Tao Yao shook her head and rubbed her little head on Suliang's hand. I am very satisfied that brother Suliang can come to see me. You. Suliang looked at Tao Yao helplessly. Why bother? For brother Suliang, what does this little hardship mean? Tao Yao, on the other hand, looked like she was going forward indomitably, holding on to a much more proud height. Brother Suliang, don't worry, Yao is not afraid. If you're not afraid, put it aside for now. Before you say bad things, you should first check to see if there is anyone around you. Suliang said speechlessly. To be fair, his girlfriend was hiding under the quilt at that time. For such a big man to hold up the quilt, he would be able to find her if he was even a little alert. But this girl just doesn't know anything about it. It's just amazing. Humph, why should Yao be afraid in the face of evil? Tao Yao made an impassioned speech. For brother Suliang, it doesn't matter no matter how miserable Yao is bullied. Brother Suliang, don't worry about Yao. Yao only hopes that brother Suliang can be safe and happy. As for other dangers, Yao will stop them for brother Suliang, even if they die. Hearing this, Suliang blinked, and for a moment, he didn't know what to say. What you said was really too impassioned, as if you were really willing to sacrifice everything for me. I think you are the light of righteousness. And just then, squeak. The door was opened again, and a beautiful figure walked in, followed by her cold voice. Oh, let's see, who is it that cares about my husband like this? Am I still going to apologize to you, feeling guilty that I harmed Zhongliang? The moment this voice sounded, Tao Yao's impassioned look immediately froze. Suliang turned around and looked, and sure enough, his girlfriend was here. How did you come? Suliang has a headache. He just beat her in the morning and came to see her in the afternoon. Do you still think your attack is not harsh enough? Why, Suliang thinks I can't come. Qin Benjao immediately put on a gentle smile. I heard that Yao was injured, so I wanted to come and see her. After all, Yao has always called me eldest sister, so I can't treat her badly. After saying this, Qin Benjao looked at Tao Yao again. Yao, I came to see you. Are you touched? Don't dare to move. No, 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 I mean moved. Tao Yao's expression changed instantly. She was very flattering and humble. Sister, I still remember Yao Yao. Yao Yao is so touched. I feel that the injuries on my body are much better. Yeah. Qin Benjao raised her eyebrows, and placed her hand on Tao Yao's slim body behind her very naturally, using a little strength. Hiss. Tao Yao immediately took a breath of air. Sister, my head hurts. But in an instant, she withstood the painful feeling and forced out a smile. Sister, Yao is so touched. That's pretty much it? Qin Benjao nodded with satisfaction and then let go of her hand. Call. Tao Yao breathed a sigh of relief. She finally survived. As for this scene, Suliang's eyelids jumped as he watched this scene. His girlfriend was really cruel. Who taught her this? Where has my cute, and cold girlfriend gone? At this time, Qin Benjao was already in Tao Yao's ear, with a gentle smile on her face, and said softly, Yao, I thought about it, before, I was indeed a bit cruel, and you must also feel the same in your heart. Do you have resentment towards me? Hearing this, Tao Yao's body trembled suddenly. It's over, it's over. Sister, did you hear what I just said? Sister, please forgive me, my little body really can't stand your torment anymore. Her thoughts were spinning rapidly, and Tao Yao said decisively, how is that possible? Yao is definitely not the kind of person who doesn't know what is good or bad. Oh, how do you say this? Qin Benjao smiled more gently. Yao knows that the eldest sister taught me a lesson. This is a show of love for me. Tao Yao smiled flatteringly, almost humbling to the ground. The eldest sister cares so much about and loves Yao, how can Yao not know good from evil? Yao, in my heart, it's not too late to be grateful to my eldest sister. How can I have resentment towards my eldest sister? I think too much. I see. Qin Benjao nodded with satisfaction and gently stroked Tao Yao's long, silky hair. I'm very pleased that you can think so. Yeah, eldest sister, don't worry, Tao Yao is loyal to eldest sister. Tao Yao said firmly, as if she had forgotten how the injuries on her body came about. This fully explains that when the person is here, I am submissive, but after the person is gone, I am lawless. Tao Yao's injuries were not serious, and she had almost recovered after just a day of training. This was not a serious internal injury. By the next day, Tao Yao was able to jump around without any trace of injury. Therefore, Suliang no longer worried about Tao Yao. However, the next day, Suliang found an unexpected person at home. Looking at the Holy Sun sitting in the yard talking to Mu Qingqian, Suliang said in surprise, why are you still here? It's not that Suliang doesn't welcome Shenzi, after all, they are all friends. Although Shenzi didn't treat him very well when they met before, Suliang is not a careless person. However, he clearly remembered that when the Holy Sun came before, it was because he wanted to review the Yingqiao incident. Logically speaking, after the review was over, he should go back. At that time, Suliang had not yet left for the Tan family. It had been quite a while since everything in the Tan family had ended. She hasn't left yet? Why, do you really want me to leave? The Holy Sun looked at Suliang with a cold face, and the men's clothing boss looked directly at Suliang with a pair of dead fish eyes, which always made people feel as if they were disliked. Suliang was choked by the Holy Sun and remained silent for a moment before waving his hands and saying, that's not the case. I'm just a little surprised that you didn't leave. I haven't seen you for a long time. I thought you had left long ago. What did I do when I left? The Holy Sun's voice was cold, and his face was equally cold, as if he didn't know Suliang. Why, do you think you can do whatever you want after I leave? Why do I just do whatever I want? Suliang felt a little confused. Besides, this is my home, and everyone in the home is my family. We can do whatever we want when we get along as a family. Suliang is now more and more confused about what is going on with this holy son. He had always had a cold face when he saw him before, as if he owed her something, and he still does so until now. Moreover, he always says those incomprehensible things. No, those who live in your home are not necessarily your family members. The holy son shook his head, stood up, and came to Mukinkian's side. He looked directly at Suliang with unblinking eyes. I stay here just to supervise you. Supervise me? Suliang felt a little confused. What are you supervising me for? Supervise you and don't let you act haphazardly. As the holy son spoke, he suddenly hugged Mu Qingqian beside him, hugging his arms tightly and not letting go. Qingqian is called the righteous goddess. She has always been cold, arrogant, and pure, but after coming to you, she seems to have changed. Like people, they have done many incredible things. So what? Suliang asked back. He didn't think there was anything wrong with Mukinkian's behavior. You can live your own life as happy as you want. Why should you always go against your own heart and remain aloof and arrogant just for the sake of being called the so-called righteous goddess? So, I absolutely cannot let her fall any further. The holy son said, giving Suliang a fierce look, as if he was staring at him with eagerness. She even deliberately hid Mu Qingqian behind her, as if she was afraid that Suliang would do something to Mu Qingqian. Seeing this, Suliang was speechless. This holy son must have thought too much. How come he has always fallen when he acts according to his own heart? This makes no sense. You can't. If it doesn't conform to your imagination, you're going against your true will, right? I think this matter should still follow Qingqian's own wishes. You can't force her to do something she doesn't like, right? Suliang spread his hands and said helplessly. After hearing this, Mu Qingqian immediately looked aggrieved and struggled slightly. Senior brother Su, you have to believe me. I have nothing to do with her. This woman is an enemy, an enemy. After saying this, Shenzi was a little unhappy. She looked at Mu Qingqian blankly. Qingqian, you shut up. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Wo Meng. Chapter 406. Mu Qingqian glared at the holy son, and then looked at Suliang again, aggrieved, with tears in her beautiful eyes. Senior brother Su, you must not believe this person's words. My feelings, senior brother Su, you should know. I understand, don't worry yet. Suliang quickly comforted Mu Qingqian, seeing that the girl was about to cry. At this time, Tao Yaoyao, who was watching this scene, keenly discovered the opportunity. Besides me, is there anyone who doesn't want Mu Qingqian, a violent woman, to be with brother Suliang? Although this person is a righteous saint and I am indeed a demon which, as the saying goes, if you have the same interests, you can be friends. I, Tao Yaoyao, have decided to make this friend. As soon as she thought about this, Tao Yaoyao immediately stepped forward, hugged Suliang, and tried to drag him back. At this moment, everyone present was stunned. No one could guess what Tao Yaoyao wanted to do. Immediately afterwards, everyone heard Tao Yaoyao shouting with an awe-inspiring expression, as if he was feeding a tiger, "Holy Son, take Mu Qingqian away quickly, and I will restrain him. Don't worry, our interests are the same. I can't see Mu Qingqian, the righteous goddess, sinking like this. We can definitely become an alliance." Listening to Tao Yaoyao's words, Shenzi froze on the spot. For a moment, he really didn't understand what kind of expression and posture he would use to welcome Tao Yaoyao, his ally. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Tao Yaoyao decisively hugged Suliang tightly. hugged Suliang's neck, put her little face on Suliang's chest, and rubbed her whole body against Suliang's body. Look at the almost undisguised sweetness and happiness on Tao Yaoyao's face. This is a complete show of affection. While showing off her affection, Tao Yaoyao shouted, "Holy Son, take Mu Qingqian away quickly. Let me finish this depraved matter by myself." Seeing this, Mu Qingqian's pretty face immediately turned cold. She glanced at the Holy Son coldly and said in a cold voice, "Let go." The Holy Son had never seen Mu Qingqian in this posture before, so he subconsciously let go of his hand. Then, Mu Qingqian took out his sword and slashed with an expressionless expression, showing no mercy at all, as if he wanted to kill Tao Yaoyao. He didn't talk about martial arts at all, he didn't give Tao Yaoyao a chance to react, and he was extremely cruel. "Witch!" Mu Qingqian shouted, "You are a witch, you are bringing trouble to one side, and you have done many evil things, which cannot be tolerated by heaven. The right way is to eliminate evil. Today, I, Mu Qingqian, will kill you to restore peace and tranquility in this mansion." Seeing this, Tao Yaoyao turned around and ran away without saying a word. "Just kidding, I am no match for this person. If I don't run, are I waiting to be beaten?" Mu Qingqian. Tao Yaoyao surrounded Suliang, playing hide-and-seek with Mu Qingqian, and angrily rebuked, "I am not responsible for any harm, and I have done something that is harmful to the world. You are obviously seeking revenge. Stop talking nonsense and risk your life." Mu Qingqian didn't bother to talk to Tao Yaoyao, so he raised his sword and slashed at her. Volume 1 Chapter 386 The Empress Control Training. Yang Keoj came down from court and returned to the mansion. When he saw Suliang sitting in the yard, a smile immediately appeared on his face. "Mr. Lang." He shouted happily to his husband, and Yang Keoj was about to pounce on him. When he finally found a place where he was alone, there was no obstruction from Binjao, the palace, no disturbance from the Queen Mother, and no competition from the two little girls, Mu Qingqian and Tao Yaoyao. For Yang Keoj, this opportunity was too rare, and Yang Keoj didn't want to miss it at all. "You must take advantage of this opportunity to make love with your husband." After hearing Yang Keoj's voice, Suliang subconsciously raised his head. When he saw Yang Keoj rushing towards him, he opened his arms and planned to help His Majesty. However, the next moment, "Oops!" Suliang screamed and was knocked out by Yang Keoj. Yang Keoj's pounce was like a hungry tiger pouncing on its food. It was powerful and powerful. How could Suliang have thought of this? He was caught off guard and was knocked out. He wasn't injured, but he was knocked away by his girlfriend's flying hug. This feeling is really indescribable and subtle. "Mr. Lang." Yang Keoj was also shocked. For a moment, he stood there at a loss, not knowing how he should react. It wasn't until Suliang stood up slowly while holding his waist that Yang Keoj came back to his senses and hurriedly stepped forward to help his husband. "Lang Jun, are you okay?" "It's okay, no problem." Suliang waved his hand and was about to get up. The next moment, he was knocked over by the huge force of Ying Chao Singer. Caught off guard again, Suliang flew a few meters away and landed on the roof. Jumping off the roof, Suliang looked at Yang Keoj helplessly. "Keoj, do you have any objections to your blocking me?" "Mr. Lang, I don't." Yang Keoj was a little panicked and almost cried. God knows, she just wanted to get close to her husband. How could she end up like this? "I know you didn't, but what the hell is going on?" Suliang pulled Yang Keoj aside. He wasn't angry with his girlfriend because of this, but he just felt a little confused. How could Suliang not know that something was wrong with Yang Keoj when his power went out of control twice in a row? Maybe it's because of the tyrannical posture I achieved after the energy entered my body. Yang Keoj said aggrievedly, "That time, my strength improved too quickly, and it was easy for me to get out of control. I have also tried to control power, but with little success. Is that so? Suliang suddenly realized that it was indeed easy to lose control if his strength increased too quickly. Cao Ji would like to ask Lang Jun to help me exercise my control. Yang Kaoj hugged Suliang gently. Lang Jun, what do you think? Okay. Suliang nodded. He had perfect control of his power now, so it would be no problem to teach his own women. Come on, let's go inside and start now. With that said, Suliang pulled Yang Kaoj into the house, took off his shoes and got on the bed. Be still, concentrate, and hold the essence. Suliang said softly, getting very close to Yang Kaoj, placing his hands on Yang Kaoj, teaching Yang Kaoj step by step, feeling the flow of true energy. This is learning in a subtle way. Kaoj, you must feel the flow of true energy and keep it in your heart. After running for a few more weeks, I will stop and let you operate it yourself. Ah! Yang Kaoj was stunned for a moment, then quickly came to his senses. Oh, I know. But in fact, she didn't hear a word just now. There is no way. Who keeps her distracted? In fact, Yang Kaoj didn't want to be distracted, but now she was too close to her husband. Her breath was filled with his scent, and she could touch her husband intentionally or unintentionally. This simply couldn't make Yang Kaoj calm down. Gradually, Yang Kaoj snuggled into Suliang's arms and sat cross-legged in it, with his proud peak pressing on Suliang's face. This soft, elastic, milky-scented facial cleanser immediately brought Suliang back to his senses, and he was completely confused. Cao Ji, what are you doing? Learn from Mr. Lang. Yang Kaoj said very matter-of-factly, but in fact, she had no intention of learning at all. Now I am chatting with my husband, how can I be distracted from studying? Yang Kaoj said that she enjoys hanging out with her boyfriend. She will take steps back when studying and is not in a hurry. After a long time, Suliang walked out of the room, took a deep breath, and felt a headache. In the beginning, he was indeed practicing control with His Majesty, but as he continued to practice, he mastered the dual cultivation method of yin and yang. Who can reason with this? After all, His Majesty is always approaching him unconsciously. Suliang said that the Empress who wants to be close to him is also very tempting, and he can't stop at all. Okay. However, if this happens every time, then how can I teach? This is not an option at all. It seems that I have to find another way. After thinking carefully and recalling the practice process, Suliang's eyes flashed and he felt that he had a good idea. Since serious teaching doesn't work, then you should find another way and do the opposite. Isn't it true that His Majesty cannot control the power? Then, just when she has a task that she has to complete, isn't it okay for me to use various methods to interfere with her xingxing? In order to complete the task, His Majesty had to forcefully calm down. This would also serve as a training exercise. Moreover, this kind of compulsory exercise may be faster by my own teachings. After thinking about this, Suliang turned back to look for His Majesty. Daxia, inside the palace. In the vast hall, at this moment, there were only two people, Suliang and Yang Kaoj. In the past, there were all kinds of capable people here who gathered here to deal with daily political affairs, but today, Suliang asked Yang Kaoj to drive them all away. After all, Suliang still has to help His Majesty exercise, but this exercise method is really not suitable for others to see. Lang Jun, you are like this, I can't do a good job. Yang Kaoj was handling government affairs and glanced helplessly at Lang Jun behind him. Your Majesty can surely overcome this small problem, right? Suliang sat on a chair, holding Yang Kaoj in his arms. He moved his hands up and down, hitting the vital points, and kept changing his gestures. Leaning close to Yang Kaoj's ear, Suliang whispered, Your Majesty, you have to concentrate. These playful words immediately made Ying Chao Goergen blush. How can you concentrate on yourself when Lang Jun is like this? Now, all I want to do is go back and reconcile the yin and yang with the husband, okay. However, this is Lang Jun's request, and he doesn't want to violate it. Therefore, Ying Keoj had to silently endure Lang Jun's bullying and handle government affairs. Volume 1 Chapter 387, In the Court, Is Your Majesty Too Good at Playing? This government affairs processing, intermittently, actually lasted for most of the day. In the end, when the government affairs were handled, Ying Keoj softened up. Mr. Lang. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Wo Meng. Chapter 407. Ying Keoj whispered Suliang's name softly, and his body collapsed in Suliang's arms. He couldn't use any strength. Is it okay now? At this moment, she felt very exhausted, as if all her energy had been drained, and she didn't even have the strength to speak. It was true that he had suffered too much torture before. When Ying Keoj was handling government affairs, Suliang tried his best. All kinds of literal means were used by Suliang, which made Ying Keoj's eyes dim several times, his mind went blank, and he had no thoughts. But just now, Suliang still wants her to focus on handling government affairs. Who can do this? It can be said that every minute and every second before was consuming Ying Keoj's energy and perseverance. Even a strong person in the immortality realm cannot withstand such consumption. Glancing down slightly, Ying Keoj blushed. She discovered that at this moment, the hem of her dragon robe was as if it was raining. There is no way, who allows your husband to have many tricks, but you have no resistance to your husband. If Ying Keoj hadn't been focused on handling government affairs, the scene would have been even more embarrassing. Well, that's all. Suliang held Ying Keoj in his arms, gently stroked her hair, and said with a smile, I know you are tired, but feel it for yourself. The effect is really significant, isn't it? Huh. Ying Keoj felt his own power and felt a little surprised. It seems that, indeed, my control over power is a little stronger. At least, at this moment, she can no longer do anything to casually knock her man away. But before Ying Keoj could be overjoyed, Suliang approached her again and said with a smile, Your Majesty, in order to help you exercise control, I will not hesitate to put down my own integrity. So, Your Majesty, let's move on to the next stage. Although it is a bit difficult for Your Majesty at this stage, Your Majesty will definitely not blame me, right? Everything is for His Majesty. In the courtroom, Ying Keoj sat on the dragon chair with a majestic and solemn expression. Her jade hands were placed on the armrests of the dragon chair, but Ying Keoj's beautiful black stocking legs under her dragon robe were kept taut, and her whole body was sitting upright. Under the cover of the large dragon robe, Ying Keoj at this moment is full of majesty, with a strong sense of oppression, and he is not angry but has authority. My dear friends, is there anything else you want to tell me? Ying Keoj's voice was cold and indifferent, and combined with his already oppressive appearance, he almost made His Highness's ministers kneel to the ground. Your Majesty, I am terrified. All the ministers hurriedly knelt down on the ground and prostrate themselves on the ground. They all looked frightened, and they were beating drums in their hearts. Why do you feel that His Majesty is so majestic and solemn today, and so oppressive? Is His Majesty angry? But, why is this? This is something we made a mistake, and His Majesty knows about it. However, it has been done secretly enough. That's all, let's admit it quickly, otherwise, if His Majesty says it, we may not be able to protect our hats. His Majesty is really too majestic today, and I don't even dare to hide anything from His Majesty, okay. After the farce in the court, it was finally time to go to court. All the ministers were sweating profusely, as if they were fished out of water, and they were about to collapse. I can't help it, His Majesty is really a little too scary today. Even on the way to the next court, the ministers felt a little weak in their legs and could not walk after a long time. They gradually dispersed. It was only then that Yenkauj finally breathed a sigh of relief. All the ministers thought that Yenkauj had discovered some fault on their part, so they looked majestic and asked them to call it out on their own. But in fact, Yenkauj has always been shy and nervous. But after all, we are in court, so we can't look blushing and talk intermittently in front of the ministers, right? As a result, Yenkauj kept tensing up his body and nerves, almost daring not to relax at all times, so he gave the ministers an illusion of majesty and solemnity. All I can say is that it was a mistake. As for the reason why Yenkauj was shy and nervous, after all, at this moment, she was wearing nothing under the black silk veil of the dragon robe. Lang Jun, how can you make fun of others like this? Yenkauj said resentfully to the person behind him, do you know, I am so nervous, for fear of revealing some flaws. As long as I'm here, nothing will happen. Suliang appeared from behind, smiled and touched Yenkaoj's head. Your Majesty did a good job, he actually persisted. Humph, I don't want to care about you. Yenkaoj rolled his eyes, the feeling of resentment was reaching the sky, and he felt that he didn't want to talk to his man at all. However, this method is indeed very useful. You should also be able to feel that your control of power has improved a lot. Suliang helplessly spread his hands and reminded, Kaoj, relax and keep a normal mind. You are my woman, and you know it yourself. There is no need for me to tease you like this. All of this is for training. As long as your control is up to standard, it's all over. When will I be qualified? Yenkaoj said weakly. Judging from the current situation, it's still very early. Suliang smiled meaningfully, I want to teach you well, but if you don't want to, then I have to use this method. It's still very early? No, I'm already overwhelmed now. If I continue, how can I possibly persevere? Yenkaoj wailed in his heart, feeling that he was already overwhelmed. Therefore, we still have to find a way to breathe a sigh of relief. We have to find a way to distract the husband. Hey, there it is. Yenkaoj was thinking about it and suddenly thought of a candidate. Then, after returning home and changing his clothes, Yenkaoj immediately set off to his best friend's place. Yefei, you can't give up. Yenkaoj held Yefei's hand. The time we were together before was a mistake in my calculations, but your date with Lang Jun was perfect. Now, Lang Jun has not forgotten that feeling. You should strike while the iron is hot. But Yefei was a little hesitant. Although he was a master of theory, when it came to practice, Yefei still lacked courage. It's nothing. Yenkaoj looked at Yefei seriously and encouraged her best friend, I am helping you create opportunities. You must seize them and win down the husband. Maybe this is not your last chance, but you should also know that love is like a battlefield, and this is just like war. If you keep losing and fighting, and you don't even dare to fight, then you will never have a chance to win. After hearing this, Yefei hesitated for a moment and finally made up his mind, okay, just listen to your Majesty. After making up his mind, Yefei appeared in front of Suliang the next day. Yefei is here. Suliang sat aside and asked Yefei to sit down, what do you want from me? While speaking, Suliang looked up and down at Yefei. At this moment, Yefei was wearing a snow-white military uniform. The clothes were extremely close-fitting and highlighted her figure. Her peak was erect, no worse than Yenkaoj before wearing the cow's bell. Her slender and tight legs were wrapped in black stockings and were straight and stylish. Perhaps because of all the training and fighting, they actually looked particularly toned. Just these two legs, you can play with it for a year without getting tired of it. And at this time, standing in front of Suliang, Yefei stood straight, her back straight, her face serious, as if she was very nervous. Rather than meeting her sweetheart, Yefei looked more like she was in training, looking prepared. Even though Suliang had already asked her to sit down, Yefei still stood aside with no intention of sitting down at all. I just want to see you. Yefei hesitated for a moment, but instead, as if meeting a superior, he began to claim that he has always been in the future. What are you doing? Suliang shook his head and laughed. I'm not a royal palace here. I don't have any official position in your Daxia, and you're not facing Kaoj. It doesn't have to be like this, right? With that said, Suliang poured a glass of water and said, sit down quickly. You standing aside like this makes me feel a little uncomfortable. This is home, not a battlefield. No. Yefei shook his head and said to Suliang very seriously, Your Majesty said something that I will always remember in my heart and dare not forget. Therefore, Yefei does not dare to slack off at this moment. Hearing this, Suliang became curious. What did Kaoj say? What on earth did His Majesty say to this girl, and why did he deceive her into this? I know that this girl Yefei is very easy to take seriously. You should know better about Cao Ji, so why are you fooling this girl? Your Majesty said that love is like a battlefield. Since it is a battlefield, Yefei must take it seriously. Otherwise, his life will be in danger at every turn. Puff. Suliang drank the tea in his mouth without spitting it out. He looked at Yefei speechlessly. This is obviously a metaphor. Cao Ji just wants to remind you that you should take your feelings seriously, not that you should take them seriously. Treat it like a battlefield. Do you believe this is just a metaphor? And why did the love scene come to me? Vaguely, Suliang seemed to understand something. Is that so? Yefei was stunned and a little confused. That's it? Suliang sighed helplessly and suddenly said, You're a little too nervous. Forget it. I'll suffer a bit. I'm reluctant. I'll help you relax. After saying that, Suliang put his arms around Yefei's waist, and then pulled Yefei into his arms. Next moment. Call. Breathing hot breath into Yefei's ear, Suliang whispered, How are you relaxed? Well. Yefei snorted softly, feeling that she had completely relaxed, even too much. With her body soft and weak, and her cheeks flushed, Yefei felt that her pretty face was very hot. She glanced at Suliang dimly. Yefei opened her lips lightly and said intermittently, Su, Mr. Su. Hearing Yefei's words, Suliang suddenly woke up. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Wo Meng. Chapter 408. The softness in the arms is very comfortable, and, unlike other ladies in the family, Yefei may have been through battles for a long time, and her delicate body is soft and has a sense of fitness, which can be said to be great. But this girl is not his woman at all. I can't be careful anymore, I'm used to teasing. Ahem. Suliang coughed lightly, quickly let go of Yefei, and changed the subject. Are you busy today? Why don't we go out for a walk? Is it a date? Yefei asked softly. Up to this moment, the blush on her cheeks had not faded. Her eyes were evasive and she was shy, not daring to look directly at Suliang. Yeah. Suliang responded hurriedly. Hearing this, Yefei smiled sweetly. Okay. Isn't this what she wants? So, Suliang happily took the young lady out on a date. In a jewelry store. Suliang and Yefei came here and walked in very naturally. Looking at the dazzling array of jewelry in the store, Suliang smiled and said, Yefei, if you like something, can I give it to you? After the words were spoken, Suliang didn't hear any response at all. Out of curiosity, Suliang turned around and saw Yefei holding a hairpin, looking at it carefully. Walking forward, Suliang glanced at the hairpin and asked curiously, What's wrong? Do you like this one very much? Hearing this, Yefei immediately woke up and smiled awkwardly. That's not the case. After hesitating for a moment, Yefei said, actually, I have no interest in these accessories and the like. I usually use them only when His Majesty lets me use them. I have almost never been to such a place by myself. This girl is not interested in women's accessories at all? Suliang asked in a daze. Then this one in your hand. This, I'm looking at its materials and forging. Yefei chuckled, seemingly because he was talking about his area of expertise. There was a bit more confidence in his smile. I actually like cast iron weapons. Although this kind of hairpin is not a weapon, it can still be regarded as forged well. As he said that, Yefei randomly picked up a hairpin and said, look, this hairpin is actually forged from fine iron. It has not been refined. Its texture is average. The price is reasonable. Look at the knife in that man's hand. It looks very nice, but it's actually just some star-forgotten stone mixed with some cold iron. It only looks good because of the fancy forging skills. It's actually useless when it comes to fighting. And there's more. Yefei excitedly told Suliang that he knew all kinds of ores and forging techniques like the back of his hand. Looking at her like this, it's obvious that she is not interested in cast iron weapons. This is clearly a fanaticism. After pulling Suliang to talk for a long time, Yefei suddenly woke up, her body froze, and then she lowered her head, instantly becoming a look of inferiority complex. Gently tugging on Suliang's sleeve, Yefei said bitterly. Volume 1 # Chapter 388, I specially changed these stockings. Other girls like to dress up with jewelry, but I just like these things that are about fighting and killing. Suliang, don't I look like a girl at all? In fact, Yefei has always felt inferior to this. How could be? Suliang smiled gently and touched Yefei's head. Everyone has their own hobbies. It makes sense to like whatever you like. As long as you like it, why should you care so much? Perhaps a beautiful woman who seems to be loved by everyone secretly likes to drink a lot of wine and eat large pieces of meat. What does it matter? Seeing Yefei burst into laughter, Suliang continued, I respect everyone's hobbies. Naturally, I also think that Yefei, who likes cast iron weapons, is actually great. Hearing this, Yefei looked at Suliang blankly, his eyes sparkling. Looking at Yefei who smiled sweetly, Suliang felt that his mood seemed to be much better. After thinking for a while, Suliang asked, are there any mines or similar places around Shengjing? Yes, I have. Yefei said matter-of-factly. With her enthusiasm for cast iron weapons, she would naturally go to this kind of place. There is actually a place not far outside Shengjing City. The products produced are not very powerful, but they win. In normal times, the output is large and the dosage is also large. So, that mine is actually quite important. People from many villages outside Shengjing work in that mine. That's it? Suliang nodded and led Yefei out of the jewelry store. He suddenly stopped and said with a smile, since we are going on a date, it would be a bit too monotonous to only do it in one place. Yefei, would you like to change the date place with me? Okay, where to go? Yefei nodded. Naturally she could not refuse Suliang's request. How about we go mining? Suliang smiled and said. Speaking of which, I have never been to a place like this. It just so happens that you can take me to see it. Really? Yefei blinked and smiled even happier. She actually took Suliang's hand directly and said with a happy smile, okay, let's go now. In the mine, Suliang followed Yefei, looking around curiously. Speaking of which, it was indeed the first time for him to come to such a place. Looking from a distance, he saw a deep pit with countless people working in it. The productivity at the bottom of this world is very average. Therefore, in this kind of mine, There is naturally no mechanical equipment, and it can only rely on human beings to mine bit by bit. After arriving here, Yefei seemed to be much more lively, completely different from the absent-mindedness in the city, as if she had truly found her own fun. While leading Suliang forward, Yefei introduced, "This mine has been developed for many years, but it is said that there is still a lot in it, which will not be fully mined for at least 10 years. After these raw ores are mined, they will be transported to another place and refined again." But mid-sentence, Yefei suddenly stopped and looked at the two people not far ahead, frowning slightly. Suliang followed Yefei's gaze and looked over curiously, then frowned as well. Only scene. Not far ahead, a man who looked like an officer was holding his subordinates and whispering something. The perception of immortal cultivators is extraordinary, and Suliang can hear the conversation between the two people even from a long distance. "Put all these mines into my warehouse. After accumulating some more, we will find a way to get rid of them." "Sir, but what are you afraid of? This year's loss quota has not been used up yet, so I will keep this." "Who knows?" Listening to what these two people said, this officer was actually engaging in corruption and embezzlement. Moment. Yefei's face became gloomy and serious. Base. There was a sound of the sword, and the sword energy soared into the sky, slashing in front of the officer, instantly attracting the officer's attention. Yefei walked over with a cold face, pointing the long knife in his hand at the officer. "Corruption and embezzlement, people get the stolen goods together, come, take him away, put him in jail, and wait to be punished." Being in Shengjing, it was impossible for this officer not to know Yefei. He naturally knew Yefei's iron-blooded reputation, but he still wanted to struggle. "Sir Yefei, you can't do this. This money is not for a villain. There are many left alone, and they are dedicated to important officials in the court. If you catch me, I am afraid that person will not be able to spare you. Since you can make money by being harmonious, why should Lord Yefei do everything right?" Hearing this, Yefei just gave this man a cold look. "No matter who the person behind you is, I will definitely capture him and accompany you." While speaking, Yefei put the long sword in her hand into the sheath, and glanced at everyone with her cold and majestic eyes. "Why don't you take him away quickly?" At this moment, Yefei looks heroic and full of iron-blooded aura. Suliang stood behind him, watching all this with a smile on his face, and suddenly sighed. To be honest, it's really hard not to be tempted by someone like Yefei. After leaving the mine and just returning to the mansion, Yefei suddenly said to Suliang, "I'm really happy that you can accompany me to a place like the mine today. Yefei has prepared a gift for you. Please wait a moment." "Okay. Okay." Suliang nodded and waited aside, while Yefei also took this opportunity to leave quietly. After waiting for a while, Yefei returned and entered the house, then motioned to Suliang and said, "You, come in." After hearing this, Suliang slowly walked into the room. The room was a little dim. Under the curtain, a beautiful figure was sitting on the bed. It was Yefei. Passing through the curtain, Suliang walked into it, but then he was stunned. "I saw." At this moment, Yefei had taken off the high-heeled boots that were wrapped around her feet and put them aside, revealing her beautiful legs wrapped in black silk. The slender and tight legs are folded together, the feet are small and cute, and the toes are beady and cute, delicate and naughty. "You're here." Yefei smiled sweetly, her pretty face flushed, and her brows full of spring. Taking Suliang's hand and letting him sit on the bed, Yefei came forward and said softly, "I secretly watched your Majesty serve like this before, and I thought you would like it, so I made my own decision. I hope you can like it. I changed these stockings specially." "Say it." Yefei raised her jade legs, and her jade feet slowly stepped on them, extending them, lively and agile. At night, two royal sisters, Yingkeoj and Yefei, were lying on the bed and talking softly. "Yefei, tell me, What did you and Lang Jun do during the day? Yang Kaoj approached Yefei and was very interested in it. Volume 1 Hashtag Chapter 389, How about practicing dual cultivation, senior brother? Dong Jun's charm demonstration. See, your husband has become much more intimate with you. Besides, have you changed your stockings? What on earth did you do? She looked like she was full of gossip and stared at her best friend with burning eyes. This empress was simply not doing her job properly. Listening to Yang Kaoj's words, Yefei turned her head slightly and covered her cheeks with her jade hands, feeling extremely embarrassed and said, "Oh, Your Majesty, I can't tell you this kind of thing. Originally, it was okay to go on a date in the mine, but after I came back, the things I did with him were too bold. What can I say? Although His Majesty around me has done this before, I can't tell His Majesty, right? So shameful." But Yefei didn't expect that her attitude would make Yang Kaoj even more curious. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Wo Meng. Chapter 409. Humph, you didn't tell me, did you? As Yang Kaoj spoke, he actually put his jade hand on Yefei's peak and began to ask, "If you don't tell me, I will punish you." "Ah, Your Majesty, what are you doing?" Gao Fen was suddenly attacked. Yefei screamed and struggled hurriedly. Soon, the two women were fighting together, with their clothes half undressed, and the scenery was infinite and beautiful. All I can say is, Lily is infinitely better. In the past few days, Mu Qingqian felt that she was a little anxious. Seeing his sweetheart either staying in the palace all day or dating someone he had never met a few times, Mu Qingqian felt very uncomfortable. "It's not that I'm jealous, it's that I feel like I have no chance to interact with senior brother Su." She still had countless plans and tricks in her mind that she wanted to use. She was confident that she would be able to capture senior brother Su, whom she longed for, but she couldn't reach anyone at all, so how could she capture him? Captured by the void? This is not realistic. In addition, the Holy Sun has been following her vigilantly, keeping an eye on her and preventing her from getting close to Suliang on the grounds of preventing her from falling. Mu Qingqian felt like her mood was exploding. In the morning, Mu Qingqian and Zhenzi went out and bought many delicious snacks. After returning to the mansion, she couldn't wait to go to Suliang's room. She just wanted to share the snacks she bought with Suliang. To say that these things are not particularly delicious, but the girl's heart is to share what she likes with her sweetheart. Of course, Mu Qingqian felt that she would be happier without the Holy Sun following her. Senior brother Su. Pushing open the door, Mu Qingqian walked into the room happily holding a bunch of snacks. However, the next moment, her expression darkened. What did she see? The witch Tao Yaoyao actually relied on her senior brother Su. I saw. In the room, Suliang looked calm, sitting on a chair and sipping tea. In her arms, Tao Yaoyao curled up with her arms around Suliang's arms, her little head resting on Suliang's chest, her slender legs curled up, and her little feet stepping randomly. In short, very cute and very seductive. Daoyao. Mu Qingqian gritted her teeth and shouted Tao Yaoyao's name, almost wanting to draw her sword and kill this witch. "Hey, ally, are you here?" Tao Yaoyao waved to the Holy Sun behind Mu Qingqian. "Brother Suliang, I've held him back for you. You must keep an eye on Mu Qingqian." Hearing this, the Holy Sun said nothing, but still blocked Mu Qingqian's attack route very covertly. As a righteous saint, she would not form an alliance with the demon girl. But in the case of Mu Qingqian, since he and the witch each got what he wanted, it wasn't considered an alliance, right? Seeing the movements of the Holy Sun, Tao Yaoyao smiled proudly. Without saying a word, she gave Mu Qingqian a provocative grimace. He, I can be in Brother Suliang's arms, can you? Seeing this, Mu Qingqian was almost anxious to death. Show off, she must be showing off. It was just that he had no chance to interact with senior brother Su, but now he had to watch eagerly as Tao Yaoyao, a witch, showed off in front of him. Who can bear this? Witch, take my sword. Mu Qingqian drew his sword and was about to strike, but fortunately, he was stopped by the Holy Sun. At a deep moment, Mu Qingqian quietly came to Suliang's door, took a deep breath, and knocked on the door. Humph, since there is a witch during the day and a pig teammate like the Holy Sun, I might as well come at night. See who can stop me. After hearing Suliang's voice inviting him in, Mu Qing took a deep breath, with a soft smile on his face, opened the door and walked in. Qingqian. Suliang glanced at Mu Qingqian with some confusion. Why are you here at this time? Mu Qingqian hesitated for a moment, then said, I want to practice dual cultivation with senior brother Su. Well, it's the same dual cultivation method I used before. What? Suliang felt a little confused. Regardless of what kind of dual cultivation technique it was, did you know that you, a girl, came to a man's room in the middle of the night and said you wanted to dual cultivation? What did it mean? I just want to become stronger. Mu Qingqian explained seriously, I recently discovered that my own cultivation has made me stronger very slowly. It would be better to practice dual cultivation with senior brother Su. The demons in the world have not yet been eradicated. I, Mu Qingqian, will never allow my speed of becoming stronger to slow down. Please help me, senior brother. After listening to Mu Qingqian's words, Suliang thought for a moment and chuckled, even if you want to eliminate the evil ways, you have to do it step by step and within limits. I see, it's not that you are getting stronger slowly, but that you are too nervous. With that said, Suliang stood up, took Mu Qingqian's hand, pushed her down on the bed, pushed her down, and took off her shoes with his own hands. It's a good thing to be angry, but you don't need me to explain to you why going too far is not enough, right? Suliang smiled and said, come, lie down and let me help you relax. Don't worry, my massage is very professional. Ah. Mu Qingqian was already unconscious when Suliang took her hand and came to her. She was so confused that she didn't realize what she was doing at all. She just followed Suliang's wishes and was pulled up. Bed. Immediately afterwards, Suliang put his hands on Mu Qingqian's back, kneading and massaging it lightly or heavily. Well. Mu Qingqian snorted, but soon her delicate body relaxed. A smile appeared on her pretty face unconsciously. Mu Qingqian showed a rare lazy look, and her jade feet wrapped in white silk stretched out and swayed gently. Senior brother Su's massage is so amazing. It seems that I have really relaxed a lot. Mu Qingqian squinted his eyes and thought, feeling that his body relaxed, his thoughts calmed down, and he fell into a rare sense of relaxation and joy. But at this moment, she suddenly heard Suliang's voice, Qingqian, what is your real purpose in coming to me so late? The voice seemed to appear in his ears, and Mu Qingqian could vaguely feel the warmth of Suliang's breath on his body. In an instant, Mu Qingqian's mind became more relaxed and blurry. She couldn't help but said, I just want to get closer to senior brother Su. In the past few days, I haven't had the opportunity to contact senior brother Su, so I'm very unhappy. But the words just fell. Mu Qingqian suddenly woke up and came to her senses. Me, what did I just say? I actually told senior brother Su everything that was on my mind. Mu Qingqian, are you an idiot? If you do this, how will you face senior brother Su in the future? At this moment, Mu Qingqian's pretty face turned red. She jumped up from the bed in a hurry, not even bothering to put on her shoes, and ran away. At this moment, Qin Benjao walked in from the door. Looking at Mu Qingqian who had escaped, she looked at Suliang suspiciously. Suliang, what happened to Qingqian? What have you done? What can I do? Suliang shook his head with a wry smile. That girl Mu Qingqian said it so straightforwardly, how could Suliang still not understand what he meant? Suliang scratched his head and sighed, it seems that I have offended an ignorant and weak girl. What is this? In the room, a long piano was placed in front of Qin Wanyu. The jade hand played on the piano from time to time, and Qin Wan either nodded or shook his head, and then started writing, deleting, and scribbling on the music score on the side. During the recent period, although Suliang did not have time to come to see her, Qin Wanyu did not have any other thoughts or feelings. She has been living here, not even wanting to go to the palace. She studies piano music every day, waiting for her husband to come and play it well for him. Dong Jun, who had not left yet, was furious after seeing such a Buddhist character. His best friend must have been too depraved. She didn't even have the slightest intention of fighting for her? If you don't fight for it, how could your man come to you? Faced with the indignation of her best friend, Qin Wanyu would generally behave very calmly. On this day, Suliang finally came to Qin Wanyu. The moment she saw Suliang open the door and come in, Qin Wanyu's eyes lit up while sitting at the table, and she immediately became a little happy. Husband, are you here? Qin Wanyu immediately stood up, clasping her hands in front of her abdomen, still looking graceful and noble. She walked to Suliang, pulled Suliang to sit down, and started busy with Suliang. After bringing many snacks and fruits, Qin Wanyu said with a smile, Husband, I made these snacks myself. I just thought that when my husband comes, I can let him try them. Suliang picked up a piece and stuffed it into his mouth, nodding in admiration, it tastes very good. I didn't expect you, Wanyu, to have such a skill. I just plan to do it for my husband. In fact, it's not difficult to learn. Qin Wanyu smiled gently and elegantly, and then brought another teapot. Husband, this is fresh osmanthus tea made by me. It tastes very different from the one sold outside. Why don't you try it, husband? Good. Suliang picked up the teacup and sipped it gently. He felt that his mouth was filled with the fragrance of osmanthus that lingered for a long time. Well, it's really great. Suliang nodded and took Qin Wanyu's hand. Sit down too, don't be too busy. We are all a family, there is no need to be like this. Well, I don't have anything to do anyway, so I wanted to do something for my husband so that I wouldn't be too busy. Ahem, it's my fault. I haven't come to see you recently. Suliang explained awkwardly. With that said, she pulled Qin Wanyu into her arms and hugged her tightly. But listening to Suliang's words, Dong Jun on the side was indignant. Humph, Suliang, you playboy, how dare you say such a thing? It's been a long time since we've come here. Do you think this is a sign? Why should a girl like my Wanyu be waiting in the house for you to turn over cards? Ahem, it's indeed my fault. Suliang was a little embarrassed and hurriedly explained to Dong Jun, business is busy now. After settling the Chao Ge matter before, I went to Tan's house non-stop. I also heard that Benjao disappeared a few days ago, so I had time to come back. It is indeed a bit cold and graceful. I will definitely pay attention to it in the future. It's out of the way. Qin Wanyu shook her head warmly and said, not minding this matter at all, my husband has a high status now, and it is normal for him to be busy. I can understand that my husband doesn't have time to come to my place. Husband, you don't have to worry about me. As long as I stay in this room and wait for my husband, I will be satisfied. After hearing this, Suliang was silent for a moment, kissed Qin Wanyu lightly, and hugged Qin Wanyu tightly. Don't worry, I will definitely accompany you often in the future, or you can pester me every day. This is what my husband said. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Wo Meng. Chapter 410. Qin Wanyu looked at Suliang with a smile, raised her head, bit Suliang's lips, and said with a gentle look, "I am more respectful than obedient." On this day, Suliang stayed for a long time, waiting until lunch before finally leaving. When Suliang had just left, Dongjun couldn't wait to scold him. You, Wanyu, I really don't know what that kid fed you to make you fall like this. You don't even think it's okay happy. Have you remembered the things I usually teach you?" Dongjun actually stayed here all morning today, witnessing the exchange between Suliang and his best friend. She finally discovered that when she usually educated her best friend promised very well, but when the matter came, she didn't take those things to heart at all. Instead, he returned to his gentle and soft appearance. Seeing Suliang grew looking at the cards, he came to see his best friend, and then left quickly. His best friend looked so docile, Dongjun felt very unwilling. "Wanyu, do you know clearly? If you continue to be soft like this, you will fall out of favor sooner or later." "Yeah, I know. At this moment, Qin Wanyu had no intention of refuting Dongjun. Instead, she sat in front of Dongjun like a good baby, holding her chin with her hands, listening carefully. "You still have the nerve to say you know." Dongjun was furious. "You've already let that kid be so presumptuous, what on earth do you know?" "Oh, Dongjun, please don't criticize me." Volume 1 #picture 390, good besties, for life, this pair of stockings is prepared for you. Qin Wanyu came to Dongjun with a smile, holding her best friend's arm. "Tell me, what should I do?" "What to do?" Dongjun thought for a moment. "Listen to me, I have a way." Immediately, Dongjun, who had no experience in love at all, started imparting experience like this. Seeing Qin Wanyu acting like she was all ears, Dongjun coughed lightly and said with a profound expression, "Well, if you want to capture a man's heart, then naturally, you need both talent and beauty. So that's it, what do you think of me?" Qin Wanyu asked back, as if she had learned something. "You." At this point, Dongjun felt that he couldn't speak anymore. "My best friend is already stunningly beautiful, especially after becoming the Queen Mother, she becomes even more graceful and luxurious. She is already stunningly beautiful in the world, so her beauty is natural. And this is Wen can make cakes and play the piano, and Wu can dance to Taoism. There are not many people who are more talented than my best friend, right? My bestie is really both talented and beautiful. It's over, the teaching just started and it can't go on anymore. Ahem, you, of course, are still a little behind." Dongjun could only cough lightly in embarrassment, but suddenly waved his hand. "At least, compared to me, it's still a lot worse. Just wait, I'll show you what charm is. I'm sure it will make that kid obsessed." Having said that, Dongjun held his head high and left with confidence. However, is this a demonstration of charm, or is it just a trap? Then the wise will see the wisdom. Dongjun said that he wanted to give Qin Wanyu a demonstration, but after all, he couldn't go directly. Even if she had never had such an experience, she knew it in her heart. Without prepared actions, the probability of success is very low. Then, after leaving Qin Wanyu's room, Dongjun left the mansion directly and started shopping and getting ready. When Qin Wanyu saw this, she went directly to her husband. "Why are Wanyu here?" Suliang sat in his room and looked at Qin Wanyu, who came with some confusion and asked. Of course it's not that he doesn't welcome Qin Wanyu, on the contrary, she is his wife, how could he not welcome her? However, he had just returned from Qin Wanyu's place, so why did Qin Wanyu come to find her again? This really caught Suliang off guard. Without any hesitation, Qin Wanyu asked immediately, "Husband, Do you want the cheap concubine I gave you for free? If you want it, I'll bring it to you later. Although Dong Jun went out to prepare, Qin Wanyu knew her best friend very well. With her straightforward and decisive character, the preparation process would not be too long. Therefore, I still have to go faster on my side and prepare everything after my best friend comes back. However, Suliang did not understand Qin Wanyu's words. Where is this going? Why did you suddenly talk about my concubine? Could it be that his wife is testing him? Thinking in his mind, Suliang looked serious. Wanyu, what are you talking about? You should understand me. Although there are many people around me, I am not that casual person. To be honest, my ladies all have a deep bond and relationship with me, so how could I be such a carefree person? Moreover, most of them were found for me by my girlfriend. This feeling is very subtle. Oh, husband, I have no intention of testing my husband. Qin Wanyu scolded. Husband, please be more serious. I am very serious. I'm serious too, what do you want to do? Suliang couldn't bear it any longer and asked bluntly. He was now beginning to worry that his queen mother was not testing him, but really wanted to get someone in for him. Of course it's for my best friend. Qin Wanyu said with a smile. Dong Jun is not young anymore. She can't delay the afternoon any longer. Moreover, the most important thing is that she also likes her husband. This is very suitable. Nonsense. Suliang immediately refused, joking, there are already a lot of people in his family now. Okay, what will happen if there is another Dong Jun? I don't have much interaction with Dong Jun. Oh, husband, just agree to be my concubine. Seeing her husband's firm refusal, Qin Wanyu immediately stuck to her, her proud peak rubbing against Suliang's body, and her plump and beautiful legs gradually climbed up Suliang's waist. Dong Jun really likes my husband, otherwise, I don't dare to come and say such things to Dong Jun. For more novel resources, please join this group to share novels about Hedgehog Cat and Pineapple Bun. Provide Hedgehog Cat and Pineapple Bun extraction services to provide everyone with a better reading experience. If you need to extract subscribed novels, you can find the Management, Dimension Communication Group, 638306497, Dimension Internal Group, 370630682. The resources come from the internet and are only used for learning and communication. The copyright of the novel resources belongs to the original author. The text is only for personal study and trial. Read, please delete it within 24 hours after downloading. If you like this resource, please buy the genuine version. Thank you for your cooperation. If this resource inadvertently infringes upon your rights, please notify us to delete it promptly. Equals 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 equals. Husband, just agree to be my concubine. At this moment, she had actually started to use a honey trap to beg Suliang to agree. After a while, Qin Wanyu left Suliang with a satisfied smile on her face. Immediately, she saw that her best friend had walked in and greeted her. Dong Jun, are you back from a demonstration? Not yet, don't get ready. Dong Jun pretended to be calm and composed. Oh, I thought, Dong Jun, you didn't dare anymore. Qin Wanyu looked at her best friend with a smile. Come on, I'm waiting for your good news. My future depends entirely on you. At this moment, all of Qin Wanyu's calculations were revealed. The scheming queen mother decisively betrayed her best friend and was very capable of playing hard to get. Qin Wanyu pretends to be innocent on the surface, but in reality, she just wants to trick her best friend into giving her away for free. Think about it, how could there be a few pure and good people from a place like Yin Yang Dao sect? Don't worry, leave it all to me. Dong Jun patted Qin Wanyu's shoulder, took a deep breath, and entered Suliang's room. Dong Jun? Are you here? Suliang said a little strangely. His queen mother had just left him, but unexpectedly, Dong Jun came on the heels. This efficiency is indeed very high. Dong Jun didn't hear anything wrong in Suliang's words. She nodded and suddenly stepped forward. Immediately afterwards, putting the pile of silk stockings in his hands in front of Suliang, Dong Jun lifted up his skirt and placed his beautiful, plump legs in front of Suliang. Beautiful legs are plump and tender, with proud peaks and slender waist. At this moment, all of Dong Jun's alluring features are on full display. Dong Jun himself calls this a charm show. With a look of hope, Dong Jun moved his jade feet gently, and soon they came to Suliang's body, stepping lightly and heavily. Suliang, I bought a lot of stockings, but I don't know which one is right for me. You are the one who invented stockings, you must know that, right? I want you to help me choose the style of stockings. What do you think? After finishing his words, Dong Jun winked, very seductively. This is already considered an above-board provocation. After all, you are an expert. You shouldn't refuse me, right? Volume 1 # Chapter 391, Best Friends for Life? Of course I need a quilt. Jade feet climbed up along Suliang's legs bit by bit, and Dong Jun's beautiful face was already close to Suliang. But at this moment, Suliang was actually a little stiff. What should I do? To be honest, Suliang had not had any thoughts about Dong Jun before this. This woman is indeed beautiful, but Suliang is not a playboy. He has seen many beautiful people, but he has never planned to take everyone into his hands. But now that my queen mother is begging me, I really can't refuse it directly. Otherwise, I won't be able to explain it to my queen mother. However, Suliang did not expect that his tangled and stiff appearance made Dong Jun mistakenly think that Suliang was affected by her charm. At this time, Dong Jun became proud. Hum, sure enough, the little kid's heart is moved. It seemed that Suliang, whom Wanyu admired so much, was nothing more than that, unable to withstand her own temptation. Sure enough, I am still too charming. After leaving Suliang's place and coming to Qin Wanyu's place, Dong Jun put his hands on his hips, looking smug. Come on, Wanyu, I just made your husband's seductive face and eyes unable to turn away. What do you think? You see, my method is still very effective. Just follow me and learn from it. I just finished bullying your man, and I even asked for your opinion and asked you to learn from me. This feeling is wonderful.